For an ad-free listening experience, please check out Sleep Tight Premium. A link can be found in our show notes. Thank you. Hello, I'm Cheryl, and this is Sleep Tight Relax, a weekly bedtime show for anyone who needs a good sleep. In tonight's story, the sunny meadow where the sunflowers long ruled welcomes a gentle daisy named Violet as its first queen, sparking a delightful transformation. With kindness and wisdom, she brings peace among the squabbling ants, banishes the sneaky snakes, and ensures only the kindest words flutter through the breeze. As the meadow flourishes under her rule, even those who doubted her come to admire her leadership. Daisy Violet's reign teaches everyone about the beauty of change and the strength of gentle leadership, ultimately uniting the meadow's inhabitants in harmony and happiness. Before we begin our story, let's get cozy, comfortable, and relaxed. Let's use our imagination to take a little trip to a beautiful sunny meadow, like in tonight's story. Imagine lying on soft grass under a big, friendly tree. Can you feel the gentle breeze tickling your cheeks? I bet the tree is smiling down at you. Maybe there is even a squirrel who will join you as we take some deep breaths and let this meadow breeze fill us up with calm. Close your eyes and picture yourself in the meadow. See the tall sunflowers and the colorful daisies around you, smiling at the sky. Take a deep breath through your nose and imagine you're smelling the sweet flowers around you. Fill your lungs slowly and hold it for a moment. Slowly breathe out through your mouth and imagine any worries or busy thoughts floating away like little leaves in the breeze. Again, breathe in deeply, feeling the cool air coming in, refreshing you. Hold it, and then breathe out, feeling even more relaxed. One more time. Breathe in the clean, fresh air of the meadow. Imagine the oak tree's branches swaying above you, whispering quiet, peaceful words. Hold your breath, then let it out, letting your body feel heavy and relaxed. Now, keep your eyes closed just a little bit longer, enjoying the calm, peaceful feeling. You can keep your eyes closed if you like as you snuggle in to listen to our wonderful story about Daisy Violet, the queen of the meadow. Once upon a time, the sunflowers were the leaders in the big, sunny meadow because they were the tallest and strongest flowers. But one autumn, something very exciting was suggested. What if they chose a queen instead of having the same leaders all the time? This new idea came from the daisies, who lived by the road outside the garden wall and saw lots of interesting things in the big, wide world. After chatting with a friendly breeze, one of the roadside daisies said, "Big changes are happening out in the world. And it's time for some new ideas here in our meadow, too. The sunflowers have led us for a long time because they are big and strong. But we daisies come from a family just as wonderful. We are as many as the stars in the sky and know a lot of things. The time to pick our new leader is coming soon, and I think we should choose our lovely Daisy Violet to be our queen. If you agree, shout yay." A big yay echoed from all the daisies, and the kind clovers and cheerful dandelions joined in because they liked the idea of everyone getting a turn to lead. They were even happier when the wise old pitcher plant, who had been around since the Mayflower, agreed loudly. This made many other flowers listen. But the elegant roses by the brook turned pink at the thought of having a queen, and the shy lavenders closed up, not wanting to see such a big change. The sunflowers just laughed and weren't worried at all. Let the daisies try, they chuckled. Nobody will choose Daisy Violet over our strong candidate from the palace. So don't worry, friends. Help us choose another sunflower this year like always. A grand old oak tree stood in the middle of the meadow, and at its foot was a big, comfy rock covered in a cozy green vine. This lovely spot was where all kinds of flowers bloomed together, and it was known as the palace. This autumn, a big, bright sunflower and a delicate daisy violet grew side by side there, with just a little curtain of ferns between them. Seeing Daisy Violet so close to the palace made the daisies feel hopeful that maybe it was their turn to lead and make some new changes for the good of everyone. So, when the big day to choose a new leader arrived, there was a buzz of excitement as the wind whirled around, collecting votes from all the flowers. The sunflowers, roses, and lavenders voted for the tall and handsome sunflower they called the prince, who stood proudly by the rock. But all the daisies, dandelions, clovers, and even the wise old pitcher plant cast their votes for Daisy Violet, believing it was time for a kind and gentle queen. To everyone's surprise, even the big old oak tree dropped a leaf to vote for Daisy Violet, and the comfy rock chipped in a tiny piece of moss as her vote. It was rare for them to join in on flower matters. They usually kept to themselves, the oak tree busy whispering with the sky, and the rock lost in thoughts from long ago. But they liked the idea of having a kind queen, and both believed Daisy Violet could be just that. Their votes made all the difference. With cheers and joyful shouts from her friends, Daisy Violet was celebrated as the new queen of the meadow and welcomed to her throne with lots of love. But not everyone was happy. "We will never visit her or be her friends," grumbled the roses, blushing even redder with anger. "Nor will we. What a strange choice. We're glad the stream is between us," huffed the lavenders, rustling their petals as if to shake off the idea. Other flowers hid behind the vine leaves, feeling the palace wasn't the right place for such a fancy queen. The sunflowers were especially upset about this big change, and said some not-so-nice things about Daisy Violet. The prince just tossed his golden head behind the ferns and laughed, as if he didn't mind at all. "Let her try to lead. She'll see it's too hard and want to give it back to me soon enough," he said confidently. And so, the meadow was divided. Half of the flowers turned their backs on the new queen, while the other half loved, admired, and truly believed in her. Everyone was eager to see how this surprising choice would turn out. Daisy Violet had friends like the wise daisies who gave her advice, the pitcher plants who shared stories of the past, the honest clover who offered friendship, and the happy dandelions who cheered her up with their sunny dispositions. And when Daisy Violet felt unsure or needed strength, she would lean gently against the rough side of the rock, feeling brave and strong from the old stone that had seen so many seasons. And when her heart felt heavy, or she felt a little sad, she would look up to the tall oak tree, listening to its soft, rustling leaves that always seemed to point up to the bright sky, and she would feel comforted, knowing there was a whole big world full of possibilities. As the new queen of the meadow, Daisy Violet had many tasks to take care of. First, she sent the sneaky snakes away from the field because they were always causing trouble for the plants and birds. "It's time for you to find a new home," she kindly told them, and they slithered away, looking for somewhere else to be. Next, Daisy Violet turned her attention to the red and black ants who were constantly arguing and fighting. "You need to learn to live together peacefully," she explained. She asked them to stay in their own parts of the meadow, and if they had disagreements, they should come to her, and she would help them to solve their problems fairly. This was a tough job because the ants loved their little battles. Still, Daisy Violet was patient and kind, and eventually helped them become friends. Everyone in the meadow was relieved and happier because of this peace. Another big change Daisy Violet brought was to make sure only true and kind words were spread around the meadow. The wind acted like a messenger, carrying news everywhere. But the birds were the ones who told all the stories. The larks would sing beautiful tales from the clouds, which everyone loved to hear. The thrushes shared enchanting stories from the woods, and the robins talked about what was happening in the gardens. The cheerful wrens loved to share funny little jokes. But the magpies sometimes spread rumors that weren't nice, and the crows would often say mean things about others just because they were different. So Daisy Violet kindly asked the magpies to stop gossiping, and she told the crows they needed to find a new spot to talk because their harsh words were making others sad. With these changes, the meadow became a much safer and happier place. Even the cardinals, who loved to be talked about because of their bright colors, and the goldenrods, who enjoyed the attention, found the meadow more peaceful without the constant chatter and arguments. Daisy Violet also set up a little hospital under the big burdock leaves where sick and tired creatures could rest and get better. Some butterflies who were late in migrating got cozy spots in silky hammocks to sleep until spring. A lonely ladybug found friends and comfort, and several ants who had gotten hurt in their little scuffles had a sunny place to sit and share stories, like old soldiers reminiscing about their adventures. All these changes took time and effort, and while the wealthy and powerful flowers like the sunflowers didn't help much, the daisies, clovers, dandelions, and the friendly pitcher plant worked hard to make the meadow a beautiful and welcoming thing. Day by day, the meadow grew more lovely. Safe from trouble, birds began to build nests in every bush and tree, filling the air with songs of gratitude. Rain and sunshine visited often, keeping the plants refreshed and the grass green. Every flower bloomed brightly, and people passing by the meadow would stop and smile, saying, "What a lovely little spot this is." Word of these wonderful changes even reached other places, carried by the wind. Messages came back full of praise and good wishes from rulers of neighboring lands, all glad to hear that the meadow, under Daisy Violet's gentle rule, was thriving so well. As the seasons passed, the positive changes in the meadow could not be ignored, even by those who had initially resisted Daisy Violet's leadership. The beauty and peace she brought made a deep impression on the sunflowers and their friends, who had to admit that the meadow was doing better than ever under her gentle reign. "We might need to visit the court and see our queen," the cardinals whispered among themselves, feeling a bit left out. They missed showing off their stunning red feathers at grand gatherings. They started to long for the festivities that the palace now hosted. It's tough to watch old traditions change, but if they must, we must gracefully accept them. The lavenders agreed, smoothing their delicate petals, ready to once again be the belles of any ball. Even the clematis, which had always been a bit of a wildflower, found new strength and purpose. Inspired by Daisy Violet's leadership, it began to climb the oak tree, spreading its silvery vines like a canopy above the queen's head. I cannot stay idle so close to such nobility. If I must cling to something, let it be the grandest I can find, and aim high forever, it declared, setting an example for growth and ambition. Prince Sunflower, who had initially scoffed at Daisy Violet's capability to rule, found himself increasingly drawn to her kindness and wisdom. Though he had kept a proud distance at first, he couldn't help but overhear her compassionate advice to those in need and see the small acts of kindness she performed when she thought no one was looking. He witnessed how she handled her many challenges with grace and courage, and it wasn't long before he admitted to himself, "She has done more to beautify and unify this kingdom than we ever did. I must acknowledge her leadership, thank her, and pledge my loyalty." One clear night under the September moon, when the air was sweet with the scent of the ending summer, Prince Sunflower couldn't resist any longer. He serenaded Daisy Violet with his most heartfelt tune, played on the gentle breeze. Peeking through the ferns, he saw her gazing at the stars, her violet eyes shimmering with dew, hinting at the burdens she quietly bore. As his melody floated through the air, Daisy Violet leaned closer to listen. She had always hoped to mend their strained friendship, remembering their shared joyful past before she became queen. As the song ended, she sighed softly, wondering when he would share his true feelings. Hearing her sigh, Prince Sunflower cast aside his last bit of pride and approached her. "What troubles you, dear neighbor? Please forget my past unkindness and let me assist you," he offered gently, not as a prince seeking power, but as a friend and devoted supporter. "You are more fit to rule than I ever was." Daisy Violet's petals opened wide as he spoke, revealing her golden heart, glowing warmly in the moonlight. "There is space beside me on this throne. Share it with me as king, and let us govern together." What Prince Sunflower replied, only the moon can truly tell. Still, by morning, all the meadow was abuzz with joy to see the golden and violet blooms standing together under the oak tree, united at last. The oak showered them with rosy leaves, and the old rock nodded approvingly, his vine leaves rustling in the wind. This is as it should be, love and strength hand in hand, fairness blooming across the land, the rock murmured, content that the meadow had found its perfect balance. If you are still awake, I would like you to whisper to yourself or just say in your mind, I share joy and kindness wherever I go, helping everyone around me feel happy. I am a good listener and understand others, just like Daisy Violet listened to all the flowers. I make a positive difference, even with the smallest acts of kindness, brightening the world like a sunny meadow. I am calm, relaxed, and peaceful. Good night. Sleep tight.